We continue our coverage of Trump's legal troubles, moving from the Stormy Daniels hush money payment case to the federal investigation into Trump's mishandling of classified documents and, more specifically, the obstruction component. And actually, right before I recorded this, or started recording today, big news broke on this. And so let me kind of walk you through the timeline, start with what I was going to talk about, and then the addition that is big. So here from ABC News, again, this is in relation to the documents case. Special counsel claims Trump, or sources say special counsel claims Trump deliberately misled his attorneys about classified documents, judge wrote. ABC continues, prosecutors in the special counsel's office have presented compelling preliminary evidence that former President Donald Trump knowingly and deliberately misled his own attorneys about his retention of classified materials after leaving office, a top federal judge wrote Friday in a sealed filing. This is according to sources who described its contents to ABC News. U.S. Judge Beryl Howell, who on Friday stepped down as the D.C. District Court's chief judge, wrote last week that prosecutors in special counsel Jack Smith's office had made a prima facie showing that the former president had committed criminal violations according to the sources, and that attorney-client privileges invoked by two of his lawyers could therefore be pierced. So what's going on here is based on this reporting, Jack Smith's office, the special counsel investigating and overseeing the investigations into Trump at the federal level, have provided to this U.S. Judge Beryl Howell convincing enough evidence that these lawyers were being used in the furtherance of a crime to justify piercing attorney-client privilege, which they were using successfully to not have to answer these questions. Now, the judge concluded the lawyers could be involved, Trump heading up criminal action, and that's when, that's the exception of when the attorney-client privilege is not allowed. And so then, of course, Trump's team appealed this. And the news we just got was that the appeals court has also sided with Jack Smith's office. And I'll talk about the repercussions of this in a second.
We are following breaking news. An appeals court has ruled on whether former President Donald Trump's attorney has to testify before the grand jury in this federal documents probe. Let's go right to Caitlin Polantz. Caitlin, walk us through what this means.
Well, we've been looking at this for the last day, and it appears that Trump attorney Evan Corcoran must testify against his client, Donald Trump, in the ongoing investigation into classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. This is a very big decision coming down from the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals this afternoon, just a few days after a trial level judge did say that Corcoran would have to testify to the grand jury to speak about his interactions with Trump directly and also turn over documents he had of notes that he had. So Caitlin Collins and I were able to confirm, and looking at this court order that just was popped up in the docket of this case, it does say that a three-judge panel, all three judges together, are denying requests for Donald Trump's team and Evan Corcoran to put a stay on the case. So that's putting a pause on the case.
Right. So they'll have to actually provide this information. And here on MSNBC, Andrew Weissman, who assisted in the Mueller probe, relevant experience there in regard to what's going on here, talks about and actually uses the wording game over about how significant it will be if Evan Corcoran, Trump's lawyer, which it looks like he's going to have to, has to go and provide the evidence that, already some of it known by Jack Smith's office, that Trump was misleading his own lawyers to have them tell the government, we've provided you all the documents, we don't have any more, lying to the government about that. And even though the lawyers were the ones doing it, Trump was directing it, and the lawyers didn't know any better because they were trusting the information they were given. And that's going to have to be what they reveal within this questioning before they were able to avoid it. And so, as Andrew Weissman's about to say, this could be game over for this case.
That if the reporting is correct, that Mr. Corcoran is going to say, I was the one who was misled by Donald Trump. I put in that certification and I drafted it based on what he told me. I did not know it was false, but it contained false information because that's what I learned from my client, Donald Trump. This is basically game over. That is incredibly strong evidence of obstruction of justice. It is a crime to lie to the government, whether you do it directly or whether you do it through your counsel. That is exactly what happened with Paul Manafort and Rick Gates. The judge, and this is Judge Howell, issued the exact same ruling. We had the exact same result. We had a lawyer.
Okay. So the sworn statements that Trump's lawyers were providing whenever this investigation, as it still is, but when they were asking for these documents, were saying unequivocally things that weren't true at the direction of Trump. And now Evan Corcoran is, again, I say it seems, things just change so much that I have a hard time saying it absolutely is going to happen until it actually happens. But seems like he's going to admit that as a part of this investigation, giving exactly what you need to know Trump is guilty here. And Trump indeed obstructed, Trump indeed directed his lawyers to lie knowingly to the government, as Weissman mentioned. That is indeed illegal. And we will see if Trump is held accountable. And this is one of the things, just because it's brought up a lot, that sets apart the Trump case from the Biden case. Trump obstructed, seems to be a good amount of evidence to that fact. Biden immediately turned up the documents, hasn't been lying throughout the process to investigators. And that very much sets these two situations apart. In case that's a thought that popped in your head, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before all the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get the extra bonus show on Saturdays, you can do so by going to lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. That's lukebeasleyshow.com/membership. Link in the description.